cause worse things to happen.
Nobody knows what it's like to walk around, in school, outside of school, feeling like you are nothing, that you are someone else's entertainment, just because that person exposed something about you that was meant to be safe and private. Nobody.
Taking a picture with the intent of making it something worse than it is, eavesdropping and taking what you heard as an attention getter for your own selfish satisfaction, or making something up. It may start out as a joke, but when you post it or expose it, it's no longer a joke.
Do you recall the last time a school conversation didn't involve gossip about someone? Do you recall the last time the nerds weren't eating the floor every time the bigger man felt that it would be funny? Or when phones were not a piece of everyday life, so you couldn't take pictures, you couldn't text message. Do you remember?
You and your friends are in a group, huddled up, and you guys talk about other people. You've already made an unclean environment. You've already started a dangerous process that can't be fixed. Because, how do you know your friends won't go out and express what's happening in this conversation to the outside world? You don't know. You've already lost the virtue in life when you speak about someone else, or if you hear someone else speak about a person and not do anything.
2 hours. That's all it took for the photo of me that I did not approve of to be sent out to every person in my school. 2 hours I was getting laughed at. 2 hours I was on Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. 2 hours I was confused as to why I was being laughed at, why I couldn't get into my next class with the whole football team pushing me down to the ground. 2 hours. That's how long it took.
A week passed, and I started feeling sorry for the kid, the one that I made fun of. A week after, and people were still talking about it. People kept sharing my photo and kept bashing the kid. It wasn't a joke anymore, because the kid wasn't laughing. He never did. I told my friends to stop sending the picture, to stop encouraging their rash behavior. Nothing seemed to work. I was lost in my own chaos.
I couldn't handle the stress anymore. Whenever I went onto my computer, I would get messages from people I didn't even know. People from different counties, different states that saw the photo of me and felt it was their civil duty to make fun of it to me personally. How they got my contact information is still a question in the back of my mind. I for sure know it wasn't going to stop, not anytime soon anyways. And I still had 4 years left of school. I wasn't going to wait that long.
An old lady hollered out to me as I was contemplating as I walked right by our house. "Young man over there," she said. "Come here for a moment." I walked over. Honestly, I didn't know what to think. I just turned my body and began walking up to her house. She had a deck out front and was sitting on a rocking chair. She had a crocheted blanket over her legs. "Young man," she spoke as I walked up onto her porch. "You look very puzzled. What's on your mind?" I kindly replied back to her. "I started something and I've been trying to stop it, but it just won't stop." The lady hummed at me with a look on her face. She was thinking. "If you take this bucket of sand," she spoke as she lowered her hand to a small kid-sized bucket conveniently sitting next to her. "Take it home, pour the whole bucket onto your driveway, and pick every single grain of sand with your hands. And with your hands only. Come back to me tomorrow." I was like, "Hey, what the heck? Why not?" So I took the bucket of sand and I walked home.
I couldn't even breathe that night. My throat was flooded with my tears. My heart pounded every time I woke up from the slightest of a nightmare. My parents don't really know about it since they don't know how to work social media, and they get home late every night. Sometimes not at all if they do night shifts. I had no one to help me. My school counselor got the photo down from social media, but people still have it, and they are still sending them to other people. Why did this happen to me?
I returned to the mysterious old lady the next day, since it was a Saturday. I had a very proud grin on my face. "Did you get every single grain of sand back into the bucket?" she asked me kindly. I held up the bucket and was like, "Yeah, every single grain Did your driveway look the same as it did before you dumped the sand? The lady then asked. I, of course, couldn't physically pick up every single grain of sand. That would be impossible. There are a few smaller grains still in my driveway, but I couldn't pick them up with my bare hands. I would have had to use a broom. I instructed you to pick up every single grain of sand, and I meant it. The lady jumped right into a reply without hesitation. I was shocked, and I was confused too. I couldn't comprehend what she was saying to me. It's impossible to clean up every single grain of sand. I just couldn't do it. I barked back. The lady slowly leaned forward in her chair, and the grin on her face before she spoke was a life changer. She took off her spectacles and said, "You're trying to pick up every single grain of sand is just like you trying to fix what you started. It's impossible." I dropped the bucket of sand, and she leaned back into her rocking chair. I was shocked at what she told me. I will never forget. I can't forget.
I skipped school more than I could ever possibly count. I couldn't handle going to school anymore. It was too much for me. I could barely hold a happy face. All my friends turned against me. They left me behind. I had literally no one to help me. I had nothing left to do. Since it was Saturday, I walked over to the Ace Hardware and I got a pack of rope. Let's just say the rest of it is history.
suicide that took place, learned it was because of a picture that was going around the school. I screamed every minute I had to talk to the staff, asked if they knew anything, if they knew a picture was being spread through the school, through every social media possible. I didn't get a yes back. None of the staff at the school knew a picture was being passed. No student stood up for what was right and spoke up about it. I spoke with a few of the students myself, and they said they believed someone else was going to say something. That's why they didn't say anything. I just want the kids to realize that if something bad is happening and they know it, to not worry about what other people are going to do, but worry about what you are going to do. How do you know someone is going to speak up about the situation? You really don't, so you need to be the one to take the initiative and say something.
I had no idea this was happening in school. If I had known there was some unneeded gossip activity in school, I would have stepped in and attempted to stop it.
The picture was a frickin' joke. When I heard that kid killed himself, I laughed so hard. He had no chill. He couldn't handle a joke. How the hell will he handle the outside world? He himself did us all a favor.
I don't want to say anything that could potentially get anyone else in trouble. All I will say is that bullying isn't cool, and I wish I did something. Should have done something to help out that poor kid. But I didn't. And that'll be on my heart for as long as I live.
A joke is only okay if everyone is laughing and having a good time. Not if there are hurtful comments and people are walking away from the conversation hurt, depressed, and thinking things that aren't very healthy. That was my mistake. I shouldn't have taken that picture. I shouldn't have put the caption on it, and I sure as hell shouldn't have posted it and shared it with all my friends. I lost the virtue of life, and I caused pain to someone. My actions caused that pain. My actions.
I get a lot of students in my office every day. Keeping track of one student that was getting picked on is really hard, especially when I can't focus on just one out of 300 students. I have to focus on all of them. If a student comes in with the mental thought of self-harm or suicide, I call in their counselor, and then they have a one-on-one discussion. Sometimes it may come to a point I can't allow students into my office because the unstable student might not want to move or is in such a state that they can't be moved. It's a hard thing to be a part of, but sometimes it's just how it works. Not everyone can be helped when they need it the most, but I give it my everything to help everyone I can.
That's what these kids don't understand. If you take a picture of someone on the campus, you must have their consent to post. In fact, you're supposed to have their consent to take the photo. These kids are all about their cell phones. They're glued to them 24/7 with no air to breathe, and that's what's hurting the relationship with the school body the most. I don't see how they could allow the photo of this kid to go as far as it did. It sickens me. As a principal, it makes me infuriated. Never in my life have I had this kind of incident. In my work as a principal or in my work as a student. I've never heard of such a chaotic case before. It makes me sad. It really does.
I was petrified when I opened our garage to find my young boy hanging in the middle of it. His skin was already blue from being suffocated. His mother and I work a lot of late shifts at the hospital together, so we can't always be there for him, to help him with homework. But every morning I ask him how's school going. I ask him if there are any problems, if he needs help with his schoolwork, and all he did was nod his head. He said everything was fine. He said it with the biggest smile I've ever seen him give me. I was absolutely mortified when I was told there was a picture of him going around the school. I will forever question what I could have done to help out my son. If it wasn't for that student, my boy could possibly still be alive.